What is up, y'all? This is Nature Girl 30 here, and this is actually the first Q&A of 2016. And hey, we have made it, and I thank y'all for sending me so many questions over the years. Like I said before on my last Q&A for 2015, but now we are in 2016. You guys have sent me some questions, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. But let's get started with the first set of questions that I have from, and I'm hoping that I'm actually pronouncing this correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong. Marian Shiklich. I am hoping that I actually did pronounce that correctly, and if I haven't, my apologies. This is from Marian Shiklich and via Twitter. Your first question for me is, and I think you actually sent this to me days ago, but I didn't really respond to it, so I'm going to respond to it now. Your first question for me is this: what is the deal with these Evans guys? Why are they so mad at you, Freddie, and the rest? Well, I have not heard anything from him at the time, and even currently I haven't, but I honestly don't know why he was so upset with me or why he hated me. He just randomly picked on me and he just would not stop. But luckily he stopped. He's been reported several times and I haven't heard from him since, and I'm glad because I really don't want any more drama in my life, especially on Twitter. But moving on from there. Why deny that Al Sharpton is a racist? Do you deny that the grass is green? I don't even remember denying that he was a racist or not, or even stating that he was. I do know that Al Sharpton actually did have a reason of what he did back in the day. I mean, he actually was part of the Black rights, the Black Civil Rights movement. So he had a huge part to play during those times. Do I believe that he's a racist? No. Do I believe that he's caught up in the times? Sometimes I do. But I don't think the man is a racist. I think that he has seen a lot, and sometimes it's hard to let go. So I'm not going to say that the man is a racist, and I don't believe that he is. But he was a victim of the times. So somehow, when you see so much hurt, sometimes it's hard to let it go. I'm just going to say that. And your next question for me is, why do you keep comparing Eva to Trish? Trish got a lot better by the time, and she was around longer than Eva. The reason why I say it is this: their growth is the same. Number one, they're both fitness models. Number two, they weren't all that great in the beginning. And number three, they're getting better. But a lot of people are saying that Eva sucks because she didn't come out being a legend and being great at it at first and learning the ropes at first, but this is something she wanted to do. And I really do respect somebody that doesn't give up in something they really want to do. And Trish Stratus, I mean, don't get me wrong, she was a looker, she was a great valet, but she sucked as a wrestler. But it took time for her to get better, and it took time for people to notice her, especially during her TNA days. A lot of people didn't really remember her being with TNA until she started going on her own, until she was teamed up with Vince McMahon, and then also when she turned against Chris Jericho. A lot of people started to know who she was even then, especially as a heel. But I will say this: she got better over time. She's just like Eva Marie, going through the same exact situation, and I think I think that Eva Marie will get better just as Trish did. Will she be at legendary status as Trish? Maybe not legendary status, but she's gonna make a name for herself. So I respect that highly. And moving on to your last question for me is, what do you think of the fact that people have said that they want to rape and kill Eva Marie because they hate her so much? Calm down. That's the one thing I'm going to say about that. The same thing with Cena haters. Do you really have a reason to hate or be so malicious towards somebody you don't know? And honestly, even though you don't like her character, you don't like her character. That means her character is doing a good job. She's getting some massive heel heat, and that's great. She wanted to be a heel at first. She said so on Total Divas, and she's getting some massive heel heat. She's getting some Vicky Guerrero-sized heel heat, and she's doing a great job for her character. But her character does not represent the person, and you gotta learn how to differentiate the two. So honestly, them actually saying that they want to kill and rape her is ridiculous, and I think they really do need to calm down and understand that just because she plays a character don't mean it's really her. And even so, it's not nice, or really, it's not great to want to say such hateful things about somebody. Just saying. But anyway, moving on to the next set of questions on Twitter. All right, I know that Largest 85 sent me a message saying that I did not answer his question. So what I have decided to do was I have decided to go back on Twitter and actually answer his questions. I believe I did for the last Q&A, but since he really wants me to answer it, I will go ahead and actually put it on there. So the first set of questions that he has for me, if I can actually get this pulled up, is this. Actually, you sent me, I can't remember. Oh, you sent me 5. Okay. The first question is this. Why did Tony's brother Roderick apologize to you for what Tony did? All I'd say is I don't know. It was an odd situation. It just came up out of the blue. A lot of people are theorizing it may not even be his older brother. It could have been the same person. But honestly, I'm just happy it's over. And I just rather move on from there. And I know your next question is about him, but I'm just going to move on from that question to your third one. What'd you think of Shawn Michaels' feud in 02 and ended in Bad Blood in 04? Honestly, I vaguely remember his feud with Triple H, except for in Bad Blood, leading up to Bad Blood. When you actually have a feud with your best friend, it's gonna be a great one because you know each other's thoughts. Well, not each other's thoughts, but you know each other's moves. You understand each other, and you can definitely play that dynamic out in the ring. So leading on up to that point, I will say towards the middle of it was heated. I'm not going to deny that. It was heated, and it was heartbreaking because you see these two guys clearly going into a feud, and that just puts in your mind, okay, this is the end of DX. DX is not going to be coming back. These guys are feuding. They're done. They're going in separate ways. We will never see DX again. Not the same, not the way that we remember it. And that's how I kind of felt when they started feuding at first. And honestly, has it really been the same since? No. It just felt like it's been forcibly put together. Even though they're still best friends in real life, that moment really just kind of set for me that we're never going to see DX the same way ever again. What did you think of DX? What did you think of Hornswoggle as the mascot of DX in 09? Sucked. That was suckage. Major suckage. They shouldn't have done it, and I don't know why they did. But, and moving on to your last question for me. Will you, okay, I guess just will you spoil the ending of Star Wars? Not a Star Wars fan, but I don't see what's so special about it. Okay, I actually did do a review on this, and I will actually put the spoiler review as well in the card above. So for those that actually do want to see it, I will give you the spoiler review, my personal spoiler review, and I will also give you my own personal review without the spoilers of Star Wars if you're interested in seeing it. And then you'll probably hear my point of view, and you'll get the ending from me right there. So I'll just leave it in the card above if you're interested in seeing it. So now that those Twitter questions are answered, it is now time to go to not Facebook, but to go to YouTube. And there's been a few people that have sent me some YouTube questions, so let's get started. My first set of questions comes from Dustin Nunn. Which dub of Dragon Ball Z is the best? Which Dragon Ball Z dub is the best? The Ocean dub, the Funimation dub, or the Kai dub? If the Funimation dub is the first dub that came out on Toonami way back when, I'm gonna stick to that. They had a great voice cast for the first season for the Vegeta saga. They had a great voice of Vegeta. They had a great voice of Goku. They had a great voice of Piccolo, and they blew that. Moving on down the line, they got rid of all their cast and got new ones. So if the Funimation cast is the original cast for the Vegeta saga, for when it was on Toonami, I'm going for that because it was awesome. It was amazing. I loved it. I didn't like the voice of Goku that was picked, and I didn't like the voice of Vegeta, and I did not like the voice of Piccolo. But either or, it stuck with you. You have to deal with it. No change there. But the Funimation dub was that dub for the beginning at Toonami. That's my pick right there. My next set of questions comes from Justin Side, and again about Al Sharpton. Why are you blindingly defending Reverend Al Sharpton by saying he is not a racist? He hates white people, doesn't he? No. Like I said, the man has seen a lot of hurt. He's seen a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, and a lot of things that unfortunately the laws have caused, especially Jim Crow laws, inequality, the Black Civil Rights Movement. He has seen a lot, okay? And sometimes that hurt don't go away. So when you call somebody a racist, go back and think about how they feel. Not so much about what you say, but what they went through. There's a lot of things that my parents and my grandparents and my great-grandparents have gone through that I have never seen. And I'm only currently seeing everything they've gone through today. So I kind of understand exactly what they go through, and I kind of understand why Al Sharpton is a bit apprehensive about certain things because he's seen a lot. You haven't, I haven't, except for recently. I would say in the last few years, I have seen more racism that I have never thought I would ever see in my entire lifetime. And my parents have lived through it. They lived through nearly a decade of it. So, and Al Sharpton's probably lived a lot longer than that, and he's seen a lot more. So, until you start throwing the R card around or the racist card or whatever you have to say, if you or more so the racist accusation, go back and think about what he's gone through. Then maybe that might change your mind before you throw that out there. Because honestly, the word racist is completely overrated, overused, and nobody truly knows the definition of it. So why don't you go back and think about it before you even say that? And I'm not saying it because I'm angry. I'm just saying it because people seem to throw that word out there and they don't think before they say it. So think about what that man's gone through. He's gone through a lot more than you ever have. But I'm going to your next question. Have you heard of what fans want to do with Eva Marie? Yeah, and it's disgusting and it's vile and they need to stop. Seriously, there's nothing funny about it. There's nothing funny about rape, and there's nothing funny about killing anybody either. So they need to stop saying that just to get attention. There's other ways to get attention. Knock it off. It's ridiculous. And your other question for me is, why asking where is Zay? And I'm not going to even go into your other comment. I'm just going to ignore it. But I'm going to say this. I actually did do my top 3, and I will leave it up there too for those that are interested in seeing it, and you'll understand my point of view of why I'm confused on why Zay isn't there. So I'm just going to let you guys see it for yourself if you are interested in it. So there you go. I will leave it in the card above. Moving on to the next set of questions from Final Limits. Do you follow Rowan I'm tongue-tied. Do you follow Rowan Blanchard on Twitter? No, I don't. I don't really follow her. I watch her show, but no, I don't really follow her. From the pics I've been sending you of her, I haven't really seen those. Yeah, you sent me a whole bunch, but I got like a whole bunch of pics that day, and I haven't really gotten to it. So, hold on a minute. I'm gonna have to take a look and then go back and comment. Alright, I know that I have different hair and a different shirt, and you're wondering, okay, this is not how it looked before. But I did do a recut of this video, mostly because it kind of ended off in a rant. And I don't want it to end off in a rant, especially the fact that it's starting off to be, this is actually the first Q&A of the year. I don't want it to end that way, hence why I decided to make a new cut of this. But I did stop at Final Limits' question about Rowan Blanchard and also the pictures that he did send me, and I did have a chance to see those. Now, your next question after that is, do you think she's an emo teenager who whines a lot? And it's pretty much about the tweets that you sent me, and I did have a chance to look at those. Honestly, it just seems very harmless to me. 14-year-olds are trying to find their own definition of what the world really is. They're trying to find their own definition of things around them, period. And I found that her tweets that you sent me were completely harmless, and I honestly just didn't I didn't see anything wrong with them. It wasn't really a big deal to me. It just seemed like somebody that was trying to figure out what's going on in the world, especially in 2015. There was a lot of bad that was going on in the world. So I kind of understand why she was trying to make sense of things, and that was her own personal way of expressing it. And honestly, that I consider that to be a G version of what I've seen on Twitter these days, especially from teenagers that have their own opinion of things, and I do believe that she handled it very well. So I have no problem with that at all. But by your next question that you sent me, and it was about her being a feminist, I'll just go back and read that straight off the bat. Well, actually, no. Do you think that she's an emo teenager that whines a lot? No. Like I said, she's just trying to find herself. And then the next one was, what are your thoughts on her being a 14-year-old feminist? Does she even know what it is? # too young. Honestly, it's not really it wouldn't be fair to say that she doesn't know exactly what being a feminist is or what feminism is. And it wouldn't be my place to say that she doesn't know, because I don't know her. But do I believe that she's too young to be a feminist, especially that feminism feminism in its own right, in its own definition, has changed over the years, and in my opinion she is too young to understand what it really meant, especially how it was 50 years ago. I really don't believe she knows what the true definition of it is, but I really can't say that she doesn't know. But am I a big fan of feminism? Not like you really asked, but honestly it doesn't matter to me because I'm not a fan of it. But I do believe that the textbook term of feminism has changed over the years, and one of them, I actually do have the definition of it on my phone right here. And feminism, a noun, the doctrine advocating social, political, and all other rights of women equal to those of men. Now that made sense, and that was actually used in its term 50 years ago, especially not only for women, the women's suffrage movement, but also for equal rights and equal pay for women around the time of the 50s on down to the 60s and 70s. It was used in its textbook definition. In my opinion, it's actually a word that replaces the word independent. And do I believe that Roland Blanchard uses the term as it being independent of not only of men but of people in general? In my opinion, yes, but that's just my opinion. I can't say it's a textbook fact, and I do not know whether or not she actually does know what the definition is. But instead of skirting around the question, do I believe that she's too young? Yeah, I believe that she is. That's just my opinion of it. Is she secretly depressed? Honestly, let's be real. Would you be? I mean, you're 14 years old, coming into a world that is not only very confusing, but has a lot of death around you. That has a lot of death shrouded in it. I mean, that's enough to be sad. Literally on the news, seeing people die every day. Not so much of it being an accident, and that rarely happens, but mostly because of somebody's race, because of somebody's creed, because of what people believe in. People are literally being killed every single day. And it's something that's been ongoing and hasn't changed. That would make you depressed too. But she's trying to make sense of all these things, and it's something you just can't make sense of. And it's a shame that she's, being that age, has to see all that. Not to mention not really know what's really going on and why people are the way they are. She's trying to figure stuff out for herself, and that's just what I see when I actually do see some of her tweets. Do you think she'll be one of those girls that will end up taking her own life in a few years? No. Seeing how her character definitely has her own inner strength, even though she is very vulnerable on the inside trying to figure out life for herself, she has her own inner strength, and I do believe that she might try to be a pillar of the community. She's going to probably do her best by creating charities and try to find a way to help other people, especially those that are suffering, for those that were lost, whether it's natural disasters or whether it's by violence. She's going to probably do her best to try to help others that were in a situation to where they couldn't help themselves. So I believe that she would actually get better from this. I think that she would actually grow as a person and become a pillar of the community. That's how I see it. I see nothing but good for this girl, and I pray for nothing but the best for her. And that's what I see coming from her. But yeah, those tweets were very interesting. Now, moving on to the last set of questions via YouTube, and this is from Nintendo Fanboy 1988. Now, Justin Side pretty much stated, and I think I've already mentioned it, about his question about Al Sharpton. Why do you blindly defend Al Sharpton by saying he is not racist? He hates white people. He hates white people, doesn't he? He is so effing racist. I'm not going to really say the full word. And Nintendo Fanboy actually kind of says the exact same thing. Why do you deny that Al Sharpton is racist? Is it that black pride thing? And I guess he's asking me if I have black pride. So to answer both of those questions about Al Sharpton, I know in the previous clip I probably said it in a different way than I'm saying it now, but I am saying this. Al Sharpton is not racist. Here's why. We want to go back and add some definitions to it. I think that that's something that we should do. And since I actually had the textbook definition of feminism, let's talk about the textbook definition of racism. Get y'all some learning on. And I know that's not a good phrase to say, But let's be honest. I'm gonna teach y'all something. I'm gonna school y'all on what the definition of racism really is, because racism has been a word that has been used and abused, and actually more not used and abused, but misused throughout the years. And it's actually been replaced with prejudice. Instead of it being prejudice towards someone, people actually just spout out racist. And I'm going to tell you what the definition of racism really is. Now, this is coming from, and you might not be able to see this because it's too bright, but this is coming from dictionary.com. So if you don't believe me, go back and look it up. Racism, noun, a belief or doctrine that inherit differences amongst various human races determined on cultural, individual achievement. Let me repeat that. Racism, noun, a belief or doctrine that inherit differences amongst various human races determine cultural and individual achievement, usually amongst the idea that one's own race is superior and has the right to rule over others. That's the textbook definition of what racism really is, guys. Did Al Sharpton in any of his speeches ever mention that black people are superior to whites? If he has, leave it in the comments. Shoot, send me a clip. I will stand corrected if he said so. But if he didn't, then he's not racist, according to that definition. Now I'm going by the context and the definition now, and I don't think I ever remember him saying that blacks were superior to whites. Because we know that throughout the years, for probably about maybe 50, 60 years, Al Sharpton has been fighting for civil rights for African Americans through the NAACP for many, many years. Him and Jesse Jackson. They have been fighting for the rights of African Americans who were treated unfairly. Not only treated unfairly, but trying to protect them from the very people that they're living with that wanted them dead. They have been fighting for their rights to live and to live as people for many years. And unfortunately, the racism is starting to grow even more. And I'm saying racism because there are people that do believe this way. There are people that do have the idea that they are superior over someone else because of where they're from, because of their race. Can we say the exact same thing about religion? Can we say the exact same thing about I guess about how old, I'm not going to say how old they are, but mostly about religion and also about where they're from. That's happening a lot, people. And according to that textbook definition, from what I remember, I don't remember Al Sharpton ever saying that, let alone indirectly saying that at all. And if he has, by all means, send me the clip. I will stand corrected. Now, I'm going to finish off the rest of your questions. Is this word pro-black an excuse for African Americans to be racist against Caucasian people? Like your little friend, Mr. Griffin. You may hate Irvin. You can hate him all you want. But Irvin may be pro-black, but Irvin does have an open mind. If he sees something different, he is open-minded enough to say that it's okay. He can agree to that. But if he doesn't agree, he actually has seen that idea out there, and whether he agrees with it or not, he has that he will definitely put it out there if he's wrong or right. He's not going to be stuck on one view. He's actually a pretty multifaceted type of guy. So you can hate him however long you like. You can hate him as long as you like. Not that I'm trying to invite you to, but Irvin is a pretty multifaceted guy, and he's very open-minded when it comes to certain ideals that are out there. So if he's wrong about a certain statement and it's been proven wrong, he is open enough. He's actually open enough and man enough to say that he's wrong. So I'm going to spout that out right there. And I can be upset as you will make me upset about you talking about my friend like that. And it does upset me. I will not deny that. Irvin is a really good friend of mine. And he's definitely a very close friend of mine. And it does make me upset when people talk about it. But like I said before, he's man enough to own up to where he's wrong. And he's man enough to speak for himself. So I'm not going to do that. But I am going to answer your question. Do people use a pro-black as an excuse? Some people do. Some people actually use it as an excuse to hate, but some people actually have a purpose behind it, just like how I explained with Al Sharpton. And that's how it is. There are some people that do abuse certain things, just like how you have radical terrorists from other countries that actually abuse the religion that they speak of. They don't really believe in it, but they use it as a guise. Unfortunately, a lot of people these days do that. Not that it's right, but unfortunately, it is being abused. So I do agree with you in some aspects. Some people actually do use it in the wrong terms, but then there are actually some people that do use it in terms of change. Now, moving on to your next question. What do you think when What do you think when Sharpton hosted Raw in 2009 and all the wrestlers broke character to shake his filthy bigoted hand? Like I said, you can hate the man all you want, but I've already explained my case when it comes to him. I had no beef with Al Sharpton. Actually, I really was trying to figure out why Al Sharpton was there in the first place. I have never been a big fan of guest hosts. I have never been a fan of anybody showing up. I can't really remember if Al Sharpton was there. I think he was on that episode. It's been a minute. But honestly, I never could understand why people were on Raw in the first place and why they were invited to do all these things, because it makes no sense. They don't need to be there. Just like when Betty White showed up. Makes no sense. And just like when they had David Arquette show up. Like, and yeah, I know I mentioned white people, okay? Big freaking deal. But all I'm saying is that if you're not a wrestler or if you're not an athlete, you don't need to be there. That's just my definition of it. That's my personal opinion. And your last question for me is, how is Trump any worse than Sharpton? If you defend Sharpton, you might as well defend Trump, saying that he isn't racist as well. Which he is not. He is doing his best for America like your President Obama. It sounds to me that you got more beef with black people than I do, if that's what you're thinking. But on the real, Trump hates everybody. He hates everybody that's not American, which is the weirdest thing ever because he happens to be an immigrant himself. He doesn't like Mexicans. Well, I'm not going to really say he doesn't like Mexicans, but he said that all Mexicans, well, he didn't really put them in a good light, that all Mexicans were rapists. That's not really a good thing to say when you're doing business with them. And honestly, the guy is, there's such thing as being PC, but over PC, but there's some things that such thing as being under PC. When you have to deal with international affairs every single day and you're meeting people from multiple countries and you're spitting on every last one of them, that's the type of person that can't be president. Like I said, Al Sharpton had to see, he went through hell for most of his life, especially when going through Jim Crow laws and the civil rights movements and literally being sprayed down with firemen's hoses during a march. He went through a lot to get to where he was. Can we say the same thing about Donald Trump? Donald Trump is spouting off at the mouth because nobody has the balls to tell him to shut up and sit down. But it's going to be to the point when that primary is hit, he's going to look like a fool. And I don't think any president that doesn't have any ounce, not even remorse, that has any ounce of respect towards people from other countries should not represent us. It'll make us look like fools. If you want a fool like that to represent you, that will not only insult countries that are closest to us, but also insult countries that live here, people from those countries that live here, then go right ahead. But in the very end, Trump is he's going to be eating his own toupee. He's going to have his toupee and his foot in his mouth, and it's going to happen in the primaries. I do respect the fact that Trump is not afraid to be, to not be politically correct. Because there are times that I do agree with him. We do have a tendency to become overly PC. And I do agree with him in that aspect. But I at least have the respect to refrain from offending anybody that has done nothing to me. And Donald Trump is actually doing that like a comic does their stand-up. And it's embarrassing. So if you're saying that Al Sharpton is a racist, I want you to give me an exact detailed term. Not only a detailed term, but like I want you to give me some details, some facts that shows me that man is racist. If you can have some facts and put them in my face, then I will change my mind about that. But Donald Trump has he pretty much put his face and what he really feels all over the television set, all over the news. And we all know how Donald Trump really feels about foreigners. He's not a fan of them. Do you want somebody like that representing you when he happens to be an immigrant himself? As for Al Sharpton, like I said, if you found anything that says that he is racist, send me the facts. I will stand corrected. But until then, I stick to my statement. He is not a racist. But guys, that is it for me. This is the first Q&A of the year. And I thank you guys for sending me these questions. If you have any other questions that you want to send me, and any racist ones, you better have the facts to back it up. Because if you don't, if you don't have the clips, if you don't have the detailed facts, I am not going to even acknowledge them at all. But other than that, guys, this is a whole new year. This is a whole new year, a whole new time, and I want to start off this new year great. But guys, I do thank you for sending me these questions, and I do encourage you to send me more via YouTube or on Twitter at RKH30 hashtag NatureGirl Q&A. It's NatureGirl30 signing off. Peace out, guys. Later.